Welcome to this webinar. Before we begin the presentation, I want to provide you with a few housekeeping items. On your screen, you will see a taskbar with icons. Each icon is assigned to a particular element of today's webinar. After the webinar is over, please take our survey to tell us how we've done. Throughout the presentation, you can network with others or submit questions to the speakers in the box next to the slides. Download resources from the folder icon. Today's event is being recorded and archived and will be available within 24 hours. For on-demand questions or comments, send us an email by clicking Email Us. If you experience any technical issues today, please refresh your browser by hitting F5 for a PC or Command R for Macs, or email webinars@bmpmedia.com for one-on-one support. And now I'm excited to turn it over to today's moderator.
Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar, Grow Your Business with Small-Duct Systems. This event, brought to you by the ACHR News, is sponsored by the Unico system. I'm your moderator, Kyle Gargaro, Editorial Director for the News. Thanks for joining us today. Today's presenter is Scott Intagliata, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Unico. Scott graduated from Tulane University in 1983 with a degree in philosophy and attended graduate school for English literature at the University of Missouri, St. Louis. He has worked as a freelance journalist, spent 11 years consulting on political campaigns, and has been one of the owners of Unico, Inc., manufactured the Unico system Small-Duct Central HVAC since 1997. Don't forget to submit your questions, and later in this live program, our presenters will address as many as possible. Today's event is being recorded and archived on achrnews.com. And now I'm excited to turn over to our presenter. Go ahead and take it away, Scott.
Thank you very much, Kyle, and thanks to all the folks at BNP, Kyle and Ian and Mike. You guys do a great job of keeping contractors and manufacturers like myself up to date on what's going on in the industry, new trends, best practices, and educational efforts like today. I do really appreciate it, and I know everybody at our company does. So what I'd like to talk about today is we manufacture a small duct high velocity system called the Unico system, and there's a variety of other brands on the market. You may be aware of, say, the Space Pack brand, or the energy saving product brand, but it's a pretty significant niche in the HVAC trade. Last year at Unico, we had well over 3,500 contractors across the country install our system. Some of them installed multiple systems. One contractor in particular put in about 400 of them. So it's a great component of a progressive selling contractor's tools. You should be aware of the opportunities that the small duct system presents in your marketplace, and hopefully today it'll if you're not using the small duct systems, it'll get you interested. And then, you know, we're happy to follow up and talk to you about it. These systems have been around a long, long time. Actually, right after World War II, a great inventor named Cal McCracken had worked on jet engines during World War II and was really excited about the idea of propulsion and velocity and aspiration, and thought that he could make a better heating system using those principles. And so he came up with that product, and as a matter of fact, got featured in Life magazine. And we still have a framed photo of that at our offices. They had 600,000 people see the article and mention of Cal McCracken. It had a photo of his air handler and tubing coming out of it, not dissimilar to what we sell today. And 600,000 people sent in letters and notes asking for more follow-up information. So Cal was clearly on the science side of the equation, not the sales side, and he thought that, well, perhaps there's a market for this. So he went and found a manufacturer, and it was the old Dunham Bush. So anybody in the audience who knows that name is dating themselves just like I am. And they had the cooling component, and the product got sold for many years as a cooling-only product for older homes with radiators all across the country. They, in the mid-1980s, a second brand, a group of contractors who had put in most of the original product, the SpacePack brand, got together and said, hey, we can commercialize our own. That was the beginning of the Unico system. My brother and father were contractors, and they were part of that original ownership group. It got based in St. Louis, where the manufacturing of it began. And in 1997, our family, the Intagliata family, took ownership of Unico Inc. And from 1997 through 2018, we were able to grow the product line about 600% over those years. And we think there's still a very viable growth pattern to the product. All right. So just to refresh everybody, though, to show you what a small duct system is, it largely, if you know about it, it goes into an older home built before the advent of air conditioning. We'll talk about some other uses for it later on. But there you see our air handler, which can be a cooling-only system, a heat pump system, both driven by refrigeration. It can be a hot water system or a chilled water system driven by a reverse cycle chiller or a boiler or hot water source, or a combination of those. Generally, it's located up in an available attic. Here you see it in horizontal mode, and off of it is an H-system ducting. Our ducting is much more compact, and we'll detail that out. And then off of it comes flexible supply tubing, which brings the conditioned air, be it heating or cooling, to various rooms in the house, through stud walls, through the backs of closets. The tubing itself is 3.5-inch outer diameter, 2-inch interior diameter, and it's very flexible, very sturdy. It's slinkied with a very tough helix wire, and that comes off of a main trunk. There in the top right-hand corner, you see our air handler. Our air handler is modular. To the far left is the blower, and you see the control box on the top of it. That control box can be mounted on the top, in front, or remotely and wired back to that blower. Next in line is a heat pump coil. And you see where the refrigerant feeds go in at the bottom, and you see a drain line as well. And then the final module is a hot water coil for those places where they'd like to get heat from a boiler or other hot water source. You can connect us directly to a boiler. So some homes may have just the heat pump or cooling coil. Some homes may just have the hot water coil. Many have both. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the main plenum, the main trunk line. And we work on the equivalent of round if you're using our smallest unit, which goes from 1 ton up to 5. But our smallest unit, the 1 to 1.5 ton unit, and the 2 to 2.5 ton unit, you generally use a 7-inch round main trunk line which you can also then use the equivalent square or rectangular. And more contractors are using the rectangular ducting because it allows them to get within a 6-inch space with our product and get literally anywhere. If you're putting in our 3 or 3.5 ton, you would use our 9-inch main trunk round or the equivalent in square or rectangular, or if you're using our 4.5 to 5 ton system, you would use the 10-inch round or the rectangular square equivalent. And then finally, what really sets us apart and what we're most known for is our beautifully unobtrusive outlets. You see the round outlet in the bottom right corner. That is the size of a CD-ROM. It generally can be discreetly placed in the corners of the room, out of the traffic flow, and air comes directly into the room from there, and we'll show you some air patterns later. We also have a slotted outlet, which you see up above that, and that slotted outlet can be either a gooseneck or straight on, and often gets placed at a high sidewall in a stud wall, and oftentimes will be in a low sidewall as well. Our outlets can be placed in the ceiling, in the sidewall, or in the floor. And while the versions you see here for plastic, they are paintable, but you'll see other versions throughout the rest of this webinar that show them in various wood grains. We have 16 different wood grains that we sell in, as well as a variety of metal finishes. Okay, so very attractive, very unobtrusive. The goal with a small duct system is that you don't see it, by and large. You don't feel the air coming in because it's been discreetly placed in the corners of the room, and nobody's feeling a draft. And you don't hear it as well if it's installed right. Okay? And here's some photos that show you just how compact this can be. In the top left-hand corner, contractor, like many of you, is putting it in a sloped ceiling. The middle shot shows a hutch that has been converted to an actual return air, which I thought was an extremely innovative play in a very size-challenged environment. And then you see how compact our supply tubing is in the upper right-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner. On the left, you see our slotted outlet. There it is, gooseneck style, coming in from above and coming out a high sidewall in a new install, in a high-end custom home install. There's lots of differentiation between small duct systems and the conventional systems that all of us are aware of and all of you put in. The most important piece is that we are smaller. The main trunk line or plenum is smaller. Our supply ducting is smaller, again, 3.5 inches outer diameter, and our registers are smaller. The size of a CD-ROM with just a 2-inch opening brings everything you need. The air handlers are modular. They can be mounted either horizontal or vertically, and because they're modular, every module has been designed to fit within a standard joist space. So if you're putting a Unico or a small duct system in an attic, you're able to cut one hole for the central return in a joist, and every component, every of our products, every module of the air handler, all of our tubing, our main trunk, every box that we sell we'll be able to hand it up from one floor to the other, from the top floor into the attic. So it makes for a nice, seamless installation. You cut one hole for your return. No module that we sell weighs more than 65 pounds, so two men can easily handle it. One guy can do it as well. We do work on a lower air volume, generally about 250 CFM per ton compared to conventional systems, which work on a higher air volume of 400 CFM. A significant difference is that in our main trunk, you have a high velocity. The air is moving at between 1,000 and 2,000 feet per minute, so that you literally are making sure that you have significant airflow throughout that main trunk. And then off of that main trunk, the air does slow down going into a 3.5-inch supply tube. We have a higher static pressure that we work on, anywhere between 1 and 1.5 inches of water column. Our coil, be it a heat pump or straight AC, works at a much colder level, and so you will be at least 13 degrees colder to 15 degrees colder than a conventional coil, which means you're going to be able to dehumidify and remove moisture from the air much more effectively and efficiently than conventional systems. Significantly, we work on a principle called aspiration. So in a typical 12 by 14 room, you might have 2 or 3 outlets in there, all in the corners, and they bring the air in. You generally try to design it for between 25 and 30 CFM per outlet. Air comes into the room out of that 2-inch opening. And if you have your hand right below that opening, you'll feel the air. But if you move it just to the right or the left, you won't feel it at all. And after about 2.5, 3 feet into the room, that air has begun to mix with all the other air in the room. That's called aspiration. So it seeks out the low energy air, high energy air coming in at a higher velocity, attracts the lower energy air, and creates a very, very even room temperature, generally 1 to 2 degree temperature difference, floor to ceiling and wall to wall. Because the air from the return is drawn across our coil, it spends longer time there. So in cooling mode, that just reinforces the dehumidification. But in heating mode, particularly a heat pump application, you're able to achieve air temperatures across the coil, delivered air temperatures of 120 degrees, 125 degrees, which is significantly warmer than conventional heat pumps, which bring air at about 97, 98 degrees. It feels cold to people. I'm sure you've all had customers complain that they feel the draft of air and it's cold, even though it's their temperature of their body. It feels cold. With the Unico, you actually get a warm air discharge. And so people report with heat pump heating in the spring and the fall, being able to take the chill off even from a dead start in 15 or 20 minutes and have beautiful, lovely warmth in those off-season times a year where a cold snap can really catch you unaware. And then everybody cares about energy efficiency. Our product has been energy efficient from the beginning. If the product is installed correctly, following our rules, you should have 0% duct leakage, and you can get pretty close to 0 in thermal loss. So all the air that's being generated at the air handler is being distributed into the conditioned space. And that's key, so you're not wasting any. As you know, conventional systems can lose 25 to 50% of their thermal output between the air handler and the conditioned space. And we'll go through these. In terms of size, you see a conventional duct there, generally 8 by 30, for 2.5 ton. You can see that whether the small duct system is put in round, rectangular, or square, you could fit 3 small duct systems within the same conventional ducting that just one system requires. So our main trunk fits in almost anywhere. And again, if you have a rectangular, even with a full 1.5 or 2 inches of insulation, if you have a 6-inch void, you're able to get up to 5 tons of cooling or heating. Our supply ducts, again, 3.5 inches. Standard length of those supply tubes is 12 feet. You can go as far as 30 with them. You do lose air volume. So air brings energy with our product. At 30 CFM, you're getting about 0.5 kilowatt of cooling or heating if it's a heat pump. At 30 feet, you're getting about 1/4. So if you need 0.5 kilowatt, you would just need to run, and you were 30 feet, and the only way you could get there is to run the supply tube longer. You run 2 lengths, and you'll get your 0.5 kilowatt. What's great, though, is that main trunk, again, what you see on the left, much more compact, but you can run that up to 50 yards. You can have up to 5 elbows in it, so there's nowhere that you can't get to in an attic or up and down through a chase or open space with our product in most homes. And then finally, everybody knows the conventional system register tends to be on a ceiling or high sidewall, tends to get a lot of dust accumulation, tends to have to be hand manipulated to throw the air one way or the other. You don't have that issue with our product. Our product blends right in to the room. It can be painted the same color as the ceiling or sidewall. And instead of a big volume of air dumped into the room that requires people to walk through it or open and close doors to move the air around, our high energy air comes into the room at a higher speed and begins to mix the air in the room without you being able to notice, without drafts, and provide you with 1 to 2 degrees temperature variance, where you'll get a 6 or 7 degree temperature variance with a conventional system or even a mini split system. All right, and then I'm waiting for a slide to come up here. Here we go. All right. Okay. Just took a minute. Sorry, guys. Let's see if I can get it here. Sorry, make you run through that again. All right. So to illustrate that final point about air distribution, on the left-hand side here, you see that there's a register. all of the air from that system is being dumped into 20% of the space in that room. On the right, you see Unico, multiple outlets bringing the air in, and it spreads across the room much more uniformly. And you won't have hot or cold spots. You don't need to worry about putting it in front of a window or somewhere like you have to with conventional systems where you need to make sure the air can spread around. With our product, put the outlets in a place where nobody is going to sit, stand, or lay under them. And the air will find itself throughout that room, mix beautifully, and give you that great even temperature. All right. As we said, our coil is colder, and our product, because of that cold coil, and because of the fact that we're not blowing the air across that coil, we're drawing it back. So air returns to a center return or a room-by-room return and is drawn back to the air handler. Our fan it runs in reverse, so it's drawing it slowly across the coil. Our coil is much more richly and deeply finned than conventional coils, so there's more to move for that air to move over. It really wrings out the moisture, and you're able to get 30% less moisture in the air with our product than a conventional system, which almost always means that the end user is able to raise the temperature 2 or 3 degrees. So if you would normally set your thermostat at 70 or 72, we hear all the time that people are setting it at 75, 77, 78, and enjoying the same level of comfort because they're dehumidifying the air, and it makes them much more comfortable. And I would strongly encourage you to go to our website, and we can give you that information later. But our product, if it's put in correctly, can be the quietest air movement product on the market, and we are continually used in babies' rooms, master bedroom suites. We primarily are a residential product, but we enjoy commercial use, and we've had extensive application in hearing labs and radio stations and recording studios because you can install our products so quietly. But we took a standard register and measured the air discharge, and then we took the equivalent of 3 Unico outlets and measured the air noise breakout. And a conventional system generally is at about 28 decibel on a really well-designed one. And with Unico, you are almost 25% less than that, or 30% less than that. So you'll get 20 decibel in that room. 28 to 30 decibel is what a computer CPU is. At 20 decibel, you have a hard time hearing that noise at all. So, I strongly recommend that you go to our website and play around with these actual noise tests, and then we also show you what the conventional system noise or our system's air discharge sounds like in comparison to other household implements. Okay, but again, it should be the quietest product. The interior of that small supply tube has a spun-bound nylon, which does a number of things, but it most importantly acts as a sound attenuator or sound dampener. So as air comes through that, even though it's at a higher speed, that nylon is quieting it down from start to finish. Probably all of you over the last 10 years have seen a significant uptick in high wall mini splits. We have great respect for the manufacturers and what are by and large good competitors in the HVAC field. And it's been a great addition to our industry, brought a lot of energy to it, and has provided a lot of employment and has solved some applications. However, we think that our product provides advantages that those systems don't have. With a mini split system, generally energy efficiency is only available at a premium. You have to move to the inverter brand. And if the inverter is standard, it tends to be significantly 25 to 50% more expensive than more standard mini splits. You'll often require multiple heads, and even if you have a limited multi-split outside, to do an entire floor of a house is almost always going to mean multiple outdoor units. And if it's a one-to-one system, you're going to have a sea of condensing units out the side of your house. And it becomes an unsightly, problematic energy hog. You do get big drafts. They dump a big amount of air into a smaller space. If you're under that, sitting on your couch watching TV and there's a mini split above you, you better bring your sweater in July, and be prepared for your spouse to complain about the fact that they're cold, and you're going to need to turn your TV up because if it's right behind you, it's loud. So it's not for everything, and most importantly, on the left here you see a high wall split in a nice contemporary home, and it's a little bit unsightly. There tends to be some end user dissatisfaction after the fact. It may be sometimes even a little cheaper to go with a mini split rather than conventional or a small duct system, but you're left with a big implement hanging on your wall, causing a draft, creating room noise, where to the right you see the equivalent in Unico, those two outlets in the ceiling on either sides of that girder where nothing else would fit, is providing the same amount of heating and cooling as that high wall split. So aesthetically, I think you have to give the advantage here to the small duct systems. All right. At one time, small duct systems were just an on and off product. You could turn them on, they ran the air, and you got a constant volume of air. It was great, but it would require the outdoor unit to cycle before the air would shut off. You couldn't control different volumes of air. All of that has changed. More and more, zoning is not just an option with a small duct system. It is pretty standard. About half of all small duct applications go in with at least one thermostatically controlled zone. What's been a great help to contractors in providing up to 3 zones per air handler is our variable speed blower, the green series there, which uses an ECM motor, electrically commutated motor, that when it turns on, ramps up slowly to full airflow, so you get a nice quiet start, a soft start, and at the end, ramps down. So at the end of its cycle, it ramps down as well. So you get beautiful quiet operation, gentle airflow, and you can have up to 3 different thermostatically controlled zones. For instance, if you are air conditioning the second or third floor of a residential home, you might have one zone on the third floor for the kids' playroom or study. You may have a second zone off of that air handler for the master bedroom suite, and then a third zone would be a constant zone temperature for the remainder of the bedrooms on the second floor. That's a great real-life usable application of zoning with our product. And again, about half of all installs go in with some form of zoning. Every major manufacturer, be it Honeywell, Jackson, Zone First, EWC, they all have a zoning product that matches simply and easily with our main trunk line and system. So, and we are always happy to take calls and walk you through it. And we have, pretty significant literature on being able to zone with a small duct system. The first use of small duct systems, as I said earlier, was always those older architecturally unique homes that generally had radiators or radiant baseboard heat. They were built before modern systems, and they had air conditioning, and that's still probably the biggest piece of our business. Anywhere you have homes built before 1950 and without main trunk, we go in all the time. The reason for that is we fit where conventional systems can't, or the conventional system would require build out and probably erosion of the historical charm that those homeowners who live in homes like that want. We certainly provide better comfort with more moisture removal. We eliminate drafts, hot and cold spots. And again, a whisper quiet operation. It's not always so easy with a conventional system or a high wall split to achieve any of those. And the aesthetics are significant. The greatest compliment you can give us is that you don't see the Unico which is installed. So here in the top left-hand corner, you see a ballroom in a home in New York City. To the right there, you see a wood outlet in the floor of a bungalow in Minneapolis. And there on the left, you see a newly renovated home in Detroit, Michigan. And you'll see some slotted outlets up in the far right sidewall. So our product fits in. You don't see it. You don't need to do build out. You're able to blend it in with the existing construction. And there you'll even see a round outlet in a high sidewall where they were able to wallpaper over the outlets perfectly. And they have a beautiful finished look that really blends in the middle there. All right. The small duct systems, particularly the Unico, is the only choice for heating and cooling that's endorsed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. The products have been successfully used in countless historic properties. boyhood homes, libraries. If you're a dead president, we've got your coverage start to finish. We are very proud that we're in Lincoln's Cottage in Washington, D.C. Anybody who saw the Steven Spielberg movie Lincoln was shot on set at Lincoln's Cottage, which was Lincoln's summer White House up in the hills above Washington, where he went during the Civil War to get away from the swampy heat of Washington. And now there's Small-Duct heating and cooling there. Ernest Hemingway's home in Key West, Florida, has well over 300,000 tourists who pay $30 each to go through that house and take a tour. Small-Duct Systems are doing all of the cooling and heating when they need it in Key West, one day a year or so, but doing all the cooling and moisture removal in one of the dampest, most humid areas in the world. And that's a beautiful application. And then mid-century homes built in the 1950s. Many of you are probably familiar with Eichler homes or Alexander homes, which are called mid-century moderns. And Small-Duct Systems are generally the only product that can be installed in those homes to provide full heating and cooling without requiring them to do significant build-out that diminishes the historic silhouette and envelope of those homes. So if you live in an older home, if you have customers who are in older homes, the Small-Duct Systems are a great choice and a natural choice. However, over the last 15 years or so, we've enjoyed extensive use in high-end custom homes. These are homes generally being built by a baby boomer couple. They're generally on a significant plot of ground, often on a lake or the seashore. The very high finish, very high price per square foot. People are generally making a great mix of both radiant floor and cooling in Unico. Our Small-Duct Systems are a fantastic opportunity. In the top left-hand corner there is a home in Kohler, Wisconsin. The marketing manager at the Kohler company, her and her husband built a 6,000 square foot high-end custom home and used Unico linked to geothermal systems throughout the house. It's a great application, truly beautiful. Stunning space, and of course lots of Kohler items as well. And trying to sort of having a bit of a technical difficulty here again. It's a little slow. Here we go. In the top right-hand corner is a house in the hills above Los Angeles, where 3 houses were built up in the Hollywood Hills. They're about 4,000 square feet each. Small-Duct Systems are doing the heating and cooling there. In the middle of the page is a high-end condominium. We did an entire block of them in Marina del Rey, California, in Los Angeles, right on the water, as you can see there. And in the bottom right-hand corner is the custom homes. One of the earlier custom homes done with a Small-Duct system was the home of the boxer Jake LaMotta, who was, of course, memorialized in the movie Raging Bull. So an ugly guy who built a beautiful home, and used a great heating and air conditioning product. Very importantly, we spend a lot of time trying to talk to contractors. And we think that small duct systems not only have a place for you, but they can be a linchpin and a cornerstone of your business. We give lots of support. We are a family-held business. We manufacture the product in St. Louis, Missouri. All small duct systems are made in North America, either the United States or one of our competitors manufactures in Canada. So it's all North American made, super quality. We are a family business. We have lots and lots of sales and marketing. Last year, I think we had 300,000 people come to our website, and 60,000 of them punched in a zip code looking for a contractor. So we get more interest in the product than we have currently contractors to fulfill all the work and follow up on the interest, even with well over 3,000 contractors last year putting in our products. We offer design services. We have a two-man design department. We have 6 folks in our customer service department who are always ready and available from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening to take your calls. They've got a lifetime of experience. One of the customer service folks has physically installed over 500 small duct systems in his life, but everybody there has deep product knowledge, not just there to peddle parts and pieces, but to really help you solve your problem, provide you troubleshooting, maintenance concerns. We're very, very proud of what we're calling our Uniconcierge service. We have 5 inside sales folks who do a great job. They provide our contractors with lots of continuity, always trying to keep them up to date with the product, find out more information about the contractors, what they can do to help. And they're there every day, 5 days a week, always willing to help out, send you information. We send out lots of leads, almost 3,000 leads to the field last year, good leads, qualified, and but all the other support services that a contractor will need: priceless product catalogs, warranty registration support, talking you through putting together an order. We love our product. We have a lot of passion for it, and it started as a family concern, but that passion and desire to please contractors and get them as passionate about the product as we are has really just infused itself throughout our organization. So if you call our company, even at the busiest time of the year, people are generally struck by how excited and interested we are, and literally most of the coffee pot conversation is, "Oh, did you hear about how this system went in here?" Or, "We were in French Lick, Indiana, and got used in a historic home." That is the sort of exciting excitement that we generate internally. So, but going back to our leads, we advertise largely to those folks who can best use the system, who live in an older home built before 1965. Almost all of the end users we're advertising to live in homes that are worth more than $500,000 a year. And by and large, our market research tells us these folks have household income of half of $100,000 plus. They're highly educated. They're really elite consumer, and they are prepared to buy, and they have the ability to buy. So we're getting leads from these folks all the time, both for new installations in older homes, and now, because we've been in for 20, 25 years, we're seeing lots of replacement as well. And we can provide you design services, material lists, and again, there's folks ready and willing to take your call. We are excited about contractors. We're out seeing them all the time. We'll physically see 1,000 contractors in person this year, and we're talking to contractors all the time and seeing what we can do to help you. So to that, we'll prepare ourselves for questions. I'm just 5 minutes over time. I hope everybody's stuck with us, and we'll open it up for questions.
All right, thank you, Scott. That's a great presentation on small duct systems. Like you said, with that, we will open it up for questions from the audience. If you have a question for Scott, feel free to submit it in the Q&A and chat box. Let's see what we got here, Scott. First one up is Patrick. Is the zoning like a traditional zone damper?
Very much so. It is. It's thermostatically controlled. It'll open or close. So once when the thermostat calls for cooling or heating in a room to a temperature, the zone damper opens within the main trunk. So whether it's round, square, rectangular, there are zoning dampers for it. They open, satisfy the request. When the temperature is fulfilled on the thermostat, the zone damper closes. So yeah, just like traditional.
All right, perfect. Next one up here is Lucas. How do you recommend adding a humidifier to your system?
Good, very good question. Humidifiers get used. We used to think they got used about 20% of the time. They probably, from just what I found out the last year or so, and actually physically going out and talking to contractors, it's somewhere between 5 and 10%, and by and large they are put downstream of the air handler, generally right on the front of our air handler, or perhaps even downstream 1.5 feet from the air handler. There are contractors who have used them on the return side, which you can do as well, but they tend to be more effectively used in line downstream from the air handler.
All right, thank you. Next question, how do you combine the Unico air handler with the geothermal system?
Okay. Our product goes in all the time with geothermal systems, and it qualifies as part of the federal tax credit on a water-to-water install, Kyle. And then we've also seen the product used on a water-to-refrigerant basis, but instead of taking the exchange, whatever the heat is, be it refrigerant or water, to a geothermal air handler, people take it instead to our chilled water coil, which can be both a heating and cooling coil. And that's the most prevalent use of the product, so that instead of going to a larger, more conventionally sized geothermal air handler, it goes to our much smaller and more efficient chilled water coil in our standard module. Okay, and it's a great way to go, and we get used more and more with geothermal systems, particularly in those high-end custom homes where people want to have the high ceilings and they don't want to see anything, and they want a little better level of finish.
Sure, makes sense. Next question here is from Nexen. Do you have any data on efficiency differences in Unico versus VRF and or conventional systems? Do you have any, I don't know if it's off the top of your head or if you can direct them to maybe your website or someplace where they could get that information?
In terms of VRF, I don't know if we have a head-to-head comparison on VRF, although I guarantee you that the 6 engineers we have at the factory certainly could create a great case for it. In terms of conventional systems and standard mini splits, we have lots of it. We have a map on our website that shows use of our product in apples-to-apples comparisons, which generally shows a 2 or 3% energy efficiency benefit to users of a small duct system. What we are really excited by is recently ACHR published one of their 200-page manuals about low-load homes, those homes that are trying to be the most energy efficient new homes in the world. And literally what that ACHR manual is saying is that the best solution for the most energy efficient and comfortable application in those homes is a small duct high velocity system. And we were really thrilled by that. And our chief engineer, Craig Messmer, just gave a very, very well received presentation at the ACHR General Conference in San Antonio. And we had lots of folks show up because heating and cooling, low load, energy efficient, zero energy homes is a real conundrum and challenge for contractors, and our product is a great solution.
Sure. Next question here is from Michael. How is the heat pump unit able to operate in a hot attic during the summer? Where is the hot air from the condenser going? Does this hot air get vented outside?
The hot air from the condenser. Well, the condenser is outside. The outdoor unit pumps refrigerant to and from our system. Our system is sealed. There's an inch of neoprene insulation on the inside of our system, so there's no venting of air at all up in the attic. And part of our thermal efficiency is that neoprene, which is what they make wetsuits out of, keeps the air. It's not cellular. It's very, very dense rubberized material. Keeps the migration of conditioned air, either hot or cold, from escaping. So you have no venting of air to the outside.
Okay. Next question from Dave. For multiple zonings, do you use multiple returns?
You certainly can. We've seen it both ways. We see lots of people do room-by-room returns or even wild returns, just utilizing the ceiling void as long as it's clean or a clean chase. And we see central returns, particularly on a second story, where they can put it in a central hallway and they'll have a central return with multiple zones all returning there. So both ways, there's lots of design flexibility with it.
All right, great. Last question here for you, Scott. How and where can I buy Unico? Probably a question you like to hear.
We sell the product in all 50 states and every province of Canada. We have extensive traditional HVAC distribution in all of those places. We have a number of nationwide distributors, most prominently R.E. Michael and Lennox Industries. Both sell our product across the United States and in Canada through their wholesale outlets. And in every part of the country, whether you're in Wisconsin like I am today, the East Coast, in Florida, California, we have extensive regional distribution who hold the product, stock it in their warehouses, and sell it through their branches to qualified HVAC contractors.
All right.
So, and we can provide a list anybody wants. And the other thing I'd say, Kyle, is we're out talking to contractors all the time. Again, we're going to see 1,000 face-to-face this year. If anybody wants to have a conversation or see somebody from Unico, we can schedule it. If not, I'm doing extensive meetings myself and phone interviews with contracting companies who think they might have more interest and that we might have more interest in. So just they can get a hold of me or anybody at Inside Sales at our company, and we are delighted to have a conversation, find out more about their business and how we can help them.
All right, perfect. Really appreciate it, Scott. Thank you for your presentation, as well as our sponsor, Unico, for helping us out here today. If you have any additional questions or comments, please don't hesitate to click the Email Us button on the console. As you exit today's webinar, please take a couple minutes to complete our survey. We strongly welcome your detailed comments. Please visit achrnews.com/webinars for the archive of this presentation, as well as information about our upcoming events. We appreciate your time and hope you found this webinar to be a valuable experience.